Today on Metal Mastermind, we're going to show you how to add effects to your guitar track after you've recorded it. This is for you guitar players who still like to record with a real live amp. You're not quite satisfied with the amp sims and all the software and even the hardware out there. You want to mic up your good old tube amp and get that nice tube recorded tone. Now, of course, you might be asking yourself, well, why can't I just use my pedal board with my real amp and just record that? You can, but we're gonna show you why that might not be the best idea. And then we're gonna show you exactly how to add those effects that you want to that already recorded guitar track in your studio. Let's plug in. All right, so like I said, we are recording this with a live tube amp. Here we've got the EVH 5153. This is the EL34 tube version, and it's the 50-watt head. We've got the matching 212 cab, and we're miking this up with a good old Shure SM57 mic. Now, you'll see a pedal board down here. We're not going to count the noise gate as an effect. We actually need that for the high gain amp. We don't want to record that noise. The actual effects that we're talking about are over here, the chorus pedal and the delay pedal. So these are the types of effects that we're talking about maybe not being the best idea to use going in, because then, well, you'll see why. Let's record a track with both of these effects on, and let's just hear how that sounds. I don't know about you, but I'm not sure if I like all that chorus and delay in there. Sounds a bit muddy. Here's the problem though. Remember, we recorded that going in with effects. We're stuck with it. There's really only one option, and that's to record the track again, because I don't really want to live with that. So let's go back over to the amp. We're going to record a track, but this time we're going to turn those effects off and just record that dry amp signal with no chorus, no delay. Okay, so that was much cleaner, wasn't muddy, we didn't have that delay in that chorus, no effects at all, and much tighter. So I think we learned our lesson here. From now on, I'm going to record that amp with no effects going in. So now it's time for part 2 of this production tip here, and that's us showing you how to add the effects to the channel after you've recorded that, because maybe you want to add some effects in certain parts of that track, or maybe the entire track. So let's jump into the studio. I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so we're inside the studio, and you can see my screen here. I'm going to just highlight the track that we're working with. It's just this first track that says amp 2. That was the second guitar track we recorded with no effects. Now here's the thing. The first thing I want to do with this track is kind of the obvious for a lot of guitarists that record with tube amps. If you already record with a real amp or tube amp, you're already probably going to be aware of this, but the first thing you want to add to this track is a compressor, and that's just going to really help even out that tone and tighten things up a bit. So this is an effect. We're going to add this effect to the track, and the easiest way to do this is literally just to drag it into the track. So I'm in PreSonus Studio One, that's the DAW I'm using, but most every DAW has a compressor. So I'm just going to go to the effects, and I'm going to type in compressor here, see what comes up. Yep, I've got a compressor, and again, I'm just going to drag it right over to this track. I can highlight the track, or I can drag it down here to the bottom, whichever. It doesn't really matter. I'll just highlight the track here, drop it in, and as you can see, the compressor pops right up. Now, what I like to do in this case, and I know we did a video on this already, on adding a compressor to your guitar tracks and why we add that. We went into depth. I'll put a link to that up here, but I'm just going to find a basic setting here for my compressor for guitar, And we've got some different options here. There's a guitar metal, so we're gonna just go with that. And usually the default setting for what you're going for is pretty much gonna do the trick for you. Again, this is just to really tighten things up. Now, one thing I want to add to this track, I'd like to see how a chorus sounds for this track here, because I was going for more of that 80s hard rock heavy metal style. So let's type in chorus. The cool thing is most every DAW comes with their own version of really all the effects that you would ever need, from compressors to noise gates to choruses, delays, reverbs, all that good stuff. So I'm just going to find this little chorus pedal here. Well, I say chorus pedal, it's a chorus plugin. I'm going to drag it into the track. Now, one thing I will tell you is in your chain, in your effects chain here, in your track, you want to make sure your compressor is first, because you want to compress that signal before adding any other effects to that signal. So just a rule of thumb. Now we're going to go to the chorus here, and I'm just going to put whatever setting on. Now the cool thing about this is you can actually listen to the track while you're messing with the effects here, and that's one of the beauties of adding the effects to the track after you record it, because your tweaking possibilities are literally endless here. So I'm just going to put just a normal chorus. Let's see. All right, let's hear how this sounds, okay? Okay, so that was probably more chorus than I want, but you know what I can do? It doesn't really change the track. I can just turn this down. I can remove the chorus effect if I want, make changes, whatever I want to do. I have that capability of doing that because I added this as a virtual plugin after the track was recorded. And that's really the whole point of this video, is to show you that you can easily drag in effects. Like, let's say I want to remove this. Now, one thing you can do, you don't have to remove it, you can actually turn it off. So these kind of work like a pedal board. If you think of this as a pedal board, there's a button over here. I can just turn it off if I don't want to remove it, because I might want to add it back in later. Who knows? So let's try one more thing. Let's try a little reverb, because sometimes I like a little reverb on the track. So we've got a reverb plugin here, and again, these are those types of effects that come with pretty much every DAW. So as I put it in the track, I place it in the track, you'll notice that everything's in the order. There's my compressor, chorus, and reverb. Everything's usually in the order of when you drag it into that track for the most part. Just check your DAW. Some DAWs may be different, but this is why I always add that compressor in first, so that as I'm dragging things after that, I know that they're going to come after the compressor. So let's play around with a reverb setting here. I've got the chorus off. Just going to put a little touch of reverb. Going to do like a small room, just a little pinch here. Let's hear what a little reverb sounds like on this track. Okay, so I'll need to play around a little bit with that as well. That was a little too much reverb, but I think you get the point. All right, so a quick recap of everything we learned today. And if this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and please consider sharing it. We are trying to build this community of metal musicians and help as many metal musicians as we possibly can. So we learned that recording effects with the amp, probably not the best idea, because once you record those effects and you get that track in the studio, well, you're stuck with whatever effects that you used. And if you don't like something, like maybe the delay's off, or maybe you decide you don't want an effect, well, it's too late. You've already recorded that track and you either one have to record it again if you're in your own home studio, or if you actually went to a studio and paid for the production, well, you're gonna have to go back or just live with the effect. Secondly, we learned the better way is to record your amp as dry as you possibly can and then add those effects in later, which we found was really easy to do. You just drag and drop the effects into that guitar track, and of course those are virtual, so you can make changes on the fly. You can set the delay or the reverb or chorus or whatever effect you're adding. You can set that to whatever you want it to be and continuously make changes to that until you dial in something that you like. Now before you go, Ken and I are giving you a free home studio guide, so make sure you download that. There's a link in the description of this YouTube channel. Thank you so much for supporting Metal Mastermind, and we'll see you on the next video.